What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, you guys. It is the 23rd day of October, and here we are sitting at about $109,000 now. A lot of people were very loud yesterday. All kinds of people, man. We had bulls screaming from the top of their lungs at the very top that we're going higher. We had bears screaming from the top of their lungs at the bottom that we are going lower. Now nobody knows what to do, right? I think the bulls are starting to be loud again, right? Because we are probably at a relative top point. Do we come down? Do we find a higher low? Do we go backwards in time? Let's do the analysis and figure out what happens next. Okay, so hit that like button, subscribe. Let's go. Here we are on the 1 hour time frame, looking at the Binance USDT chart. The RSI, to be fair, overall it does look good. I hope you can see as to why it looks good overall on the 1 hour time frame. You know, getting above the 50 and staying above the 50 predominantly. I mean, you've got a good bit of life under the 52, but predominantly you're staying above the 50. Predominantly you're getting overbought. You're not getting oversold, right? And that's nice to see. Even if you are rejecting the overbought zone here in instances like this, you still are getting overbought, whereas you're not getting oversold. So that's encouraging. I would assume then that we're either at a point to bounce at the 50 or somewhere at the 40 we bounce, or maybe even in between there in the oversold zone like we did here. We bounced right here. But I would think that with this kind of behavior, I would expect that we have more iterations, more life to be had in the overbought zone, personally, looking at this here. Now, the stochastics make me rethink that. The stochastics look like you want to come down. Typically, whenever you get overbought, right, if you get oversold, you get overbought, you get overbought, you get oversold. That's typically the dynamic here. It's less typical to see something like this where, let's see if I can find an example of it, where you get overbought, then you bounce at the 50, you get overbought again, you know, you do stuff like this. This is less typical. It happens. It's not that it doesn't happen. It happens. But looking at this here on the 1 hour time frame, it'd be more probable to assume that we go down to the oversold zone, at least to bounce from it, if not to get into it, than it would be to assume that we bounce here at the 50. And even if we do bounce at the 50, which is somewhat common, it does happen often enough, we would still have lower to go. So this hour might come down a little bit, and that's fine. Again, here we are at the RSI. Maybe we bounce at the 50, come down a little bit. Maybe we bounce at the 40, come down a little bit more. But the RSI and the stochastics, I think both overall do look good, right? You're getting overbought here. You rejected the oversold zone. Overall, they do look good. Just maybe a little bit suggestive of slightly lower prices to come, and maybe that's what we see. If we're looking at this from a high to a low here, you hit your 0.5 directly. Direct contact, man, you've been finding, look at this, guys. Look at this. Let's just see here. Hold on. Okay. We take a high here to a low there. Golden ratio. Okay, you still did find resistance right there at the 0.5, but maybe I'm remembering the wrong fib. Let's take this high to low here. High to low. Nope, come on. High to low right there. Look at that. You found direct resistance at the 0.5, supported the 382, then you continue to rally, right? Perfect resistance right there at the 0.5. There was another one that you found resistance on at the 0.5. I can't remember, or maybe it was support. I don't know. Low to high. No, not here. Maybe it was this low to high. Yeah, right here, low to high. You found direct contact at the 0.5 and found support there. All I'm saying is, and there's more examples of that as we go back in time too. This is just on the 1 hour time frame. Bitcoin's been finding a lot of significance at its 0.5 lately, and we literally just found resistance right there now. So it's pretty common from what I've seen this year to go from the 0.5 to the 236 and then bounce up to the golden ratio. Sometimes even go to the 786, 886. Typically, you look for resistance at the golden ratio on the first attempt, but if you interact with the 0.5, the odds that you could go deeper increase, okay? We will likely find turbulence along the way, but then still continue moving higher. That's my expectation overall. Overall, right now, I think that we have found a higher low, right, in respects to this low, in respects to this low here, a higher low here. We're coming up in the midst of a move that will inevitably take us to higher highs, right, up to 116 to 118K, maybe even 126K, somewhere up here. Is that new all-time highs at 126K? Yes, it is. New all-time highs. Something in that range there, and along the way there will be volatility. Okay, so I really wouldn't be surprised if from here, 109K, we saw a little bit of a move down to about 108.4, 108.3, something like that, at least on the Binance chart. And then from there, we move up to, you know, anything from 111.1 to about 113.1, something in this zone, find some more turbulence, and then we continue to rally. Today is Thursday. So maybe tomorrow, Friday, will be the day, not today, but tomorrow, Friday, will be the day that we get above 114K. We could move up to 114K today, but again, that would be some pretty intense volatility, right? Not that we haven't experienced intense volatility over the months. We've seen plenty of it. I'm just not expecting that, by the end of today, which is right here. That's the last hour right there. I'm not expecting by the end of today we're going to be above this high. That doesn't mean it can't happen. We've seen crazy growth happen before, but I would think more so prices above this high are reserved for tomorrow. That would be my thoughts, because we probably do by the end of today come back up to about 112 to 113K. That's my guess. We probably come up there, and then maybe we start off tomorrow coming down a little bit, but finishing off the day stronger, going toward 116 to 118K by the weekend. That's my expectation. Maybe we consolidate here, we come back down over the weekend, and then Sunday, Monday comes around, and then we're continuing on a path even higher again to new all-time highs. That's great, right? Imagine, and just because I think it's great, just because I've drawn a pretty picture here, it's not so pretty, doesn't mean that it has to happen. Let's see, let's just delete all these little ugly parts here, right? You see what I'm going for, right? More or less, if you zoom out, and this is these levels, these key areas are all based off of fibs, right? So that's the 786, 886 zone, pulling back to the 0.5 or the golden ratio zone to find support, up to the extended targets, the primary zone, pulling back to the 786, 886, the 100 area for support, and then continuing there. I mean, if you look at it, it kind of looks like we're just going through a nice general higher low kind of trend like this, right? Where we're just curving that bottom nice and soft, and then we're coming up like this. I don't know. I'm not saying it'll look exactly like this. You never know, though. I mean, that's pretty nice, right? It's actually pretty nice. Prior resistance right there becomes support. Prior resistance right there becomes support. I don't know. I might save this just because I think that we'll see something exactly like this play out, and literally in the same amount of time, right? Because again, the thought here is that we move up today, but we don't see a higher high, and then we move down starting tomorrow, but then by the end of tomorrow we see a higher high, and then over the weekend we consolidate, and then going into next week we really begin to rally. Going into that announcement, the 29th day of October, on what would be roughly, I think, the 16th hour or the 18th hour, something. I think it might be the 17th hour, so something in this time frame. That's when the Federal Reserve announces that they're going to be cutting interest rates, and maybe by then on Thursday we're not at 131K. I'm not drawing it like this. I really think that this part is what's going to play out well. But afterwards, who knows how high we're going to be? I mean, we could be at 131K, being at new all-time highs going into this announcement. We could be, as low as 120K maybe. Something like that, but we definitely have a lot of growth to go. Looking at these indicators here, I would assume a little bit of decay first, but then growth. I like that the MACD is crossed above the zero. I like the bullishness I'm seeing across all these indicators really right now. Looking at the 4-hour time frame here, the 4-hour RSI is also bullish. I hope that we can understand as to why that is, right? We've got higher lows here and higher highs there. It's hard to be bearish whenever you're in an uptrend, right? We are clearly in an uptrend. We're at the lower ends here. Maybe we pull back a little bit, find support at the 50 or even off of this line, but I think that we have a path higher to the overbought zone effectively is what I'm trying to say. And will that happen today or tomorrow? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not is my thoughts. Based off of what we've seen here, I might expect that it's more likely over here, in which maybe Sunday, maybe Monday, right over here that we're in the overbought zone. That's when the fireworks are really going to fly. So we'll move up. We'll move up between now and then for sure. I think we will be at higher prices, but I think we're going to be breaking out of this overall zone here as early as next week. I really do, right? And this is coming from the guy who went live. I went live in the middle of this drop, right at the very lows whenever we started going live, quite literally at the low. We were on our way up, and people were telling me they were trying to buy cryptos, but they couldn't, right? That was the first thing I said on the live stream when we were at the lows. It's probably a good time to buy. Nobody better be selling. And everyone's like, I'm trying to buy. I'm hitting the buy button, C-Zar. It won't let me buy. We said during that stream we'd most likely be moving sideways for the next 1 to 2 weeks. 10th of October, 23rd of October. It's been about 2 weeks. By Monday, by next week, it's going to be over 2 weeks, and we will likely be breaking out of this overall range. That's the expectation. That's been the expectation. It's the expectation still. We are likely going to be breaking out of this range next week. If not next week, then the following week. But I do assume October's not going to end with a whimper. It's probably going to end with a little bit of a bang. Here we are down right now on this month, 4.3%. I very much believe that October will close green. I very much believe that it will. We might, I don't want to jinx it, we might even close at new all-time highs, right? Wouldn't it be crazy? You have this Dumptober month, and an October week at the very end of the month. Wouldn't that be crazy? What a dramatic finish that might be. It's very. I want you guys to understand, because there is so much negative news out there. I want you to understand that we are very close to seeing new all-time highs. Like I don't think anybody expects. Here we are on the 23rd of October. I don't think anybody expects that next week we could be at new all-time highs, or by the end of October we could be at new all-time highs. But we really could. We are really moments away, days, weeks away from seeing a $130,000 price for Bitcoin and beyond. We're right there. We are literally right there. All it takes, I mean, we've seen it, right, in these weeks here. We've seen it where we've had a 16% week when we're breaking out, right? We've seen here whenever we had a 10% week there, 16, 10%, something in that range. From here, from the current price, just from the current price, 16% would take us to new all-time highs right there. Let alone the fact that we've got 1, 2, 3, we've got, if we had multiple weeks of growth successively, we would absolutely see new all-time highs by the end of this month. Okay, absolutely. We're right there. It's going to, I think what's crazy is people are going to be shocked at how fast we are at new all-time highs. Like the amount of time that we have from now to new all-time highs for Bitcoin. It's actually not that, you might think that it's far away. It's not that far away at all. Like here from the same price, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks away. No, not even close. We're probably like half that, 2.5 weeks away or less from new all-time highs, genuinely, for Bitcoin, absolutely. Looking at this on the daily time frame, actually I want to go back to the 4-hour because we got distracted. 4-hour RSI bullish, we know why, right? Stochastics are bullish. Do you know why? It's because you got oversold, now you're not. Typically you go from the oversold to the overbought zone, oversold to the overbought zone, overbought to the oversold zone. Typically that's what happens. We're at the base of this range. We're going to go to the overbought zone. That's what's going to happen, which again promotes growth. It promotes growth today, tomorrow, the next day, the days to come. Of course it does, but really you get most of that growth in the overbought zone. Look here. We're going to put a line right here. Oh, let me just draw a straight line actually right here. We're going to put a line right here. So to the left before you got overbought, to the right after you got overbought. Look at it, right? Were you moving up before you got overbought? Yes, you were moving up before you got overbought. But what happened after you got overbought? You moved up more faster, okay? We're on our way to getting overbought. We're not overbought yet, but we likely will be overbought. So when will we be overbought? You know, if we're following this kind of same trajectory, more or less, maybe it would be Friday. Is that right? Yeah, as early as Friday. That's great. Maybe it's Friday, which would be pretty nice to see, you know. Or maybe, you know, it takes some more time and it's Sunday, Monday, something like that. Somewhere in this time frame that we get overbought, that's when the expansion will happen. The next expansion, which will again likely take us out of this overall range that we've been in since the 10th. Okay, likely. That's my expectation. That doesn't mean once we get overbought in the stochastics, we're just right through the zone. No, but I think that as we get overbought, it'll ignite the next move that takes us through this area. Okay, MACD. The MACD is actually bullish here. You're finding support at the zero. No, you're not, C-Zar. You're below the zero. What are you talking about? That's not support. That's support. That's support at the zero the same way that this is resistance at the zero. Okay, it's the same. It's the same thing. The zero, don't think of it as a line, right? Don't think of it as a strict line. I feel like Captain Barbosa from the Pirates of the Caribbean. The rules are more like guidelines, right? They're guidelines. They're not really like rules, right? This is not a strict rule to abide by, the zero. It's just in this area. It's more of an area. So we are finding support at the zero, crossing green. You had a little red pivot here, but not really. Who cares? And now you're getting ready to go up higher. I think the bulls are in control, and I think that the momentum is slowly shifting back toward the bulls here. We look at the liquidation levels over the past 24 hours. Longs have it, the shorts don't. That's not necessarily encouraging. Last 7 days, the longs have it again. That's really not, I don't like to see that, but on the 30-day, hey, the shorts still have it versus the longs. 18 billion versus, what is that, 7.5 billion. Let's just say 18 plus 7 is what? Why can't I do that math? 25 point something billion, 25.5 billion probably dollars. That's a little bit more, you know. Back here we had like 22 billion, so we've piled on a few billion dollars in leverage trades, and the shorts haven't really added on. I think it's the longs, so that's not necessarily encouraging. You know, we could shake out, but I think again, guys, the shakeout's already happened. Regardless if we're piling on longs or not, there's more shorts. There's about 18 billion in shorts, and we're going to liquidate all those positions as we move higher. I wouldn't be surprised, just like last time, okay, when we were at these levels, we had 20 billion in shorts. We moved up, we had 15 billion in shorts, and then we moved up here, we had 18 billion in shorts. We actually piled on shorts as we were moving higher. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. If we, clear some out by breaking free of this zone here, and then afterwards people pile on more shorts and we eat that moving higher. I would expect that's exactly what happens. Looking at these indications here, the indicators, looking at the RSI, we are bouncing right off the oversold zone. It's a perfect reaction. Found a little turbulence here at the 40, that's fine, but we're probably going to continue to move higher. These stochastics are also shaped up nice on the daily time frame, and the MACD, to be fair, sucks, but that's okay. Again, with the MACD, even though it's actually bad, it's like the worst that we've seen in a long time, that's actually a good thing, right? Because it's the worst. It's at the lowest levels that we've seen since April, which was a bottoming point. The histogram is the lowest that it's been. I mean, man, this is the lowest that it's been in quite some time, isn't it? We haven't been this low. We haven't been this. That was the lowest readings on the histogram we've had all bull market, you guys. We've never seen a lower reading on the histogram this whole bull market. The closest ones were back in December of 2024 and August of 2024. August was a low point here. December, let's just see. December was a high point, that much I know. But when that histogram came in at a low point, we were at a low point there, and then we moved up. So both times at relative low points. I think, obviously, we're at a low point now. Again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but if you're holding crypto right now, you're doing the right thing. If you're panic selling, if you're listening to the media, if you're buying the FUD that you're seeing on X.com or any of that, you're doing the wrong thing, okay? This is not a time to be bearish on Bitcoin. This is the most appropriate time to be bullish since July. It's the most appropriate time. We're at the lows, right? You buy high and you sell low. No, that's not what it is. It's you buy low, you sell high, okay? This is the low. This is where you buy. I've got nothing else for you, so bye-bye. Hit the like button, subscribe, take care of yourselves. I very much believe Bitcoin at the moment is on a path higher to new all-time highs, beyond just 130K, beyond even 150K. We're going all the way up to about $180,000 to $200,000 by the end of this year, if not higher. If I'm wrong, it's only because we went higher. Take care. See you on the next one. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with grandma. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.